France. For the second day in a row, thousands of angry French farmers have blocked major highways leading in and out of the French capital. They're calling it the Siege of Paris. The protests are part of an intensifying standoff between farmers and the French government. Farmers have slapped the government with a long list of grievances, including complaints about low wages and what they deem to be unfair foreign competition and overregulation. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. To put pressure on French authorities, farmers from across the country have surrounded the outskirts of the capital, blocking at least 7 highways with dozens of tractors. "We are prepared to stay as long as we need to," says Florian Portmer, a 33-year-old sugar beet farmer, one of hundreds of protesting farmers who are camping out on the A1 highway, just a few miles north of the Charles de Gaulle airport. So far, the blockages have caused only minor delays. The government warns that a major disruption could leave Paris with only 3 days' worth of food supplies. "Our goal isn't to bother or to ruin French people's lives. Our goal is to put pressure on the government to rapidly find solutions out of the crisis," says Arnaud Rousseau, president of the Fédération Nationale des Syndicats d'Exploitants, or FNSEA, one of the country's largest farming unions. But to get the government's attention, farmers argue they may not have a choice. "Our expenses are going up and up," says Portmer. "There's a general feeling of being fed up, a suffocation linked to all these charges and tight standards." By tight standards, he means France's complicated web of bureaucratic regulations. For example, farmers say they're frustrated with European Union subsidy rules, in particular, a new requirement to leave 4% of farmland fallow. Others have complained about skyrocketing energy and fertilizer prices. Then there's what they say is unfair competition from other countries, which have less strict regulations. French farmers argue this puts them at a huge disadvantage, with merchants favoring cheaper imports that aren't subject to the same controls. Speaking before France's lower house of parliament, the National Assembly, on Tuesday, the newly appointed Prime Minister, Gabriel Attal, promised the government would implement controls on the amount of foreign produce brought into France and asked the farmers to end their protest. "We need to listen to the farmers who are working and are worried about their future and their livelihood," Attal told lawmakers. The government has also vowed to give farmers emergency funding and to guarantee them a living wage. But this hasn't been enough to convince the farmers to pack up just yet. An opinion poll last week showed 90% of French citizens backed their protest, which started in the south of France on January 18. Some of the protesting farmers tell NPR they are barely earning 1,200 euros, about $1,300, a month and are struggling. But the farmers also say their solidarity has never been stronger. Many have sent up tents, barbecues, and portable toilets on the blocked highways as they prepare to dig in for the coming days. On the A1 highway, farmers convivially gathered over beer, grilled meats, and electronic pop music. Please subscribe our channel for more content. "It's a beautiful demonstration," says 50-year-old Pierre de Wilde, a fourth-generation farmer from northern France, who is camping out on the highway with his 22-year-old son. He says it's the future of his kids that makes the protests matter. "That's exactly why we're all here, to support the next generation of farmers to come." France has told its farmers that any action to block access to Paris's main market for fresh food would be crossing a red line, as a tractor protest made good on a threat to blockade the city for an indefinite period, stopping traffic on 8 main motorways into the capital in a row over regulations, pay, and taxes. As it became clear the farmers planned to encircle the city, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, held a crisis meeting with key cabinet ministers on what was being called Operation Paris Siege. Priska Thevnat, a government spokesperson, said announcements would be made on Tuesday. "The whole government and the president are mobilized," she said. The Interior Minister, Gerald Darmanin, said 15,000 police and gendarmes had been mobilized to prevent the tractors from entering Paris and other cities where protests were happening, and to keep access open to Charles de Gaulle Roissy Airport north of the city and Orly Airport in the south, as well as the region's main fresh food market at Rungis, the largest in Europe. He warned farmers that blocking Rungis, which supplies 60% of Paris' fresh food to about 12 million people, would be crossing a red line. The first motorway barrage was reported shortly before 2 p.m. when 30 tractors blocked the A4 20 miles east of Paris in both directions. Shortly afterwards, the A13 about 35 miles northwest of Paris was blocked in the direction of the capital. Tractors were reported to have blocked other main routes into and out of the city, forcing motorists to use increasingly congested side roads. By Monday evening, there were 97 miles, 156 kilometers of traffic jams reported on the motorways. The National Federation for Road Transport confirmed that the blockages had hit deliveries, but it was too early to quantify the impact. It stressed the importance of protecting transporters and their goods, as well as the right for them to circulate. The authorities were advising drivers to cancel or postpone all non-essential road travel. Farmers, particularly the country's thousands of independent producers, say they are being strangled by EU and French bureaucracy and regulations, and claim the traditional way of rural life is facing collapse. They are demanding fairer prices for produce, the continuation of subsidies on the agricultural diesel used to run their tractors and other vehicles, and financial aid for organic farmers. The French government has been taken by surprise by the depth of anger among farmers. Several months ago, young farmers turned town and village road signs upside down in protest, but the action has escalated in the last week. Protesters had at the weekend rejected concessions made by the Prime Minister, Gabriel Attal, and promised to besiege the capital by early afternoon on Monday. Across France, several main motorway routes have been blocked since protests began a week ago. In Brittany, residents say they have been unable to travel to the south of France because of blockades. Traveling on smaller roads is also quite impractical, as these are also blocked intermittently, one said. It's not just around Paris. Clément Tourpier, the president of the Île-de-France Young Farmers, told BFM TV, "The aim is not to annoy the public, but to get answers from the government to come up with further measures." Stéphane Sanchez, the director of the Greater Paris Basin branch of the main farming union, the FNSEA, said the blockade was being organized with almost military precision, with shifts of farmers deployed onto the barricades. "We've thought of everything and have prepared meticulously. We're not leaving anything to chance in order to make it a real long-term siege," Sanchez said. He said that if there was no acceptable response from the government, they would also block major non-motorway roads. We will continue to keep you updated on this developing story. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on the farmers' protests in France. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts on this topic in the comments. Join the chat for a lively conversation, and let's hear your views.